Look at this fruit. It seems completely harmless, right? But what if I told you this exact fruit was once responsible for the fall of governments, corporate espionage, and 3 decades of relentless military warfare involving the US and a few Latin American countries? You don't believe it? Then stay with us, because in this video, you will understand where the term Banana Republic comes from and the existence of a corporation so massive, so ruthless, they were known as the Octopus. This is the story of the Banana Wars. By the year 1900, the banana had gone from an exotic luxury to the most popular fruit in the American diet. The key figure behind this transformation was Minor Keith, an American entrepreneur who built railroads through Costa Rica in the 1870s, partly financed by planting banana groves on the cleared land alongside the tracks. When the banana trade proved more profitable than the railroad, Keith pivoted entirely. In 1899, he merged with the Boston Fruit Company to form the United Fruit Company, the corporation that would shape the political destiny of 6 countries over the next half-century. To meet this demand, the United Fruit Company practically bought countries. At its peak, the company owned roughly 3.5 million acres of land. To put that into perspective, that is more land than several European nations combined. It owned 112 steamships, operated its own telegraph network called Tropical Radio, and ran the only deep-water ports in several of the countries where it operated. In Honduras, United Fruit built the railroads, owned the wharves, controlled the postal and telegraph systems, and paid 0 taxes to the national government. The Honduran rail network, when it was finally completed, ran from the banana plantations to the coast, not between the country's major cities. It was infrastructure built entirely for export, not for the Honduran people. In Guatemala, the company owned the country's only Atlantic port. If a Guatemalan business wanted to export anything, it paid United Fruit. If a Guatemalan wanted to send a telegraph, it went through United Fruit's network. The company became, as historian Stephen Schlesinger documented, a parallel state with more power than the actual one. American journalist O. Henry coined the term Banana Republic in 1904 to describe exactly this arrangement. A nation with a single export economy, a small elite answering to foreign corporate interests, and a government that existed primarily to keep those conditions intact. This is where the American military comes in. Between 1898 and 1934, the US conducted dozens of military interventions across the Caribbean and Central America. In Haiti, US Marines occupied the country for 19 years. In Nicaragua, they remained almost continuously from 1912 to 1933. In Honduras, US troops intervened at least 7 times in 20 years. Leading many of these charges was Major General Smedley Butler, the most decorated Marine in American history at the time. Butler was a brilliant commander, but he eventually became the ultimate whistleblower. In his 1935 book, War is a Racket, Butler was remarkably candid about his role. He wrote, "I spent 33 years and 4 months in active military service, and during that period, I spent most of my time being a high-class muscleman for big business, for Wall Street, and for the bankers." According to Butler's own account, he helped make Mexico safe for American oil interests in 1914, helped make Haiti and Cuba a decent place for the national city bank boys to collect revenues, and purified Nicaragua from the international banking house of Brown Brothers. Butler was a career soldier who believed in the Republic and concluded from his own experience that it had been rented out to corporations. The most extreme example of this corporate foreign policy happened in Honduras in 1911. The Honduran president, Miguel Dávila, made a fatal mistake. He tried to tax the fruit companies and regulate their land grants. A New Orleans banana merchant named Sam Zemurray, who would later engineer a hostile takeover of United Fruit itself and become its CEO, decided not to wait for a diplomatic resolution. He bought a surplus US Navy gunboat. He joined forces with former Honduran President Manuel Bonilla, exiled in New Orleans. Then, he hired a small army of mercenaries, including a notorious mercenary named Lee Christmas, who had already led several Caribbean coups for hire. They replaced Dávila with a former president who was much more business-friendly. The result was a new government that gave the fruit companies a 90-year tax-free lease on massive tracts of land. This then became the blueprint. Guatemala in 1954 followed the same pattern with CIA involvement when the democratically elected president Jacobo Arbenz attempted to redistribute unused United Fruit land to landless Guatemalan peasants. The company lobbied Washington. Allen Dulles, whose law firm had represented United Fruit, helped authorize the CIA operation, and Arbenz was overthrown. The coup installed a military dictatorship that began a cycle of violence lasting 4 decades, leaving an estimated 200,000 Guatemalans dead, according to the United Nations Historical Clarification Commission's 1999 report. United Fruit's power was not limited to the countries it operated in. It also reached deep into Washington. The company hired Edward Bernays, the father of modern public relations, Sigmund Freud's nephew, to shape American media coverage of Guatemala. During the tensions with Arbenz, Bernays created through the press the political climate in which a CIA-backed coup became acceptable to the American public opinion. The company's connections to Washington were structural. Secretary of State John Foster Dulles' law firm had represented United Fruit. His brother Allen, who headed the CIA during the coup, had served on United Fruit's board. The family of Assistant Secretary of State John Moores owned United Fruit stock. So we're talking about the architecture of what we would now call the revolving door between corporate and governmental power. The official banana wars that started in the late 1890s ended in the 1930s when FDR shifted to the good neighbor policy, but the shadow they cast is long. It shaped the skeptical way much of Latin America views American intervention to this day. But what do you think? Was this era an unfortunate but necessary expansion of American influence and security during a period of global competition? Or was it a betrayal of American values to use the military as an enforcement arm for private profit? Give us your opinion in the comments below. And while you're at it, subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss a brief. And if you want to see our deeper dives into history and geopolitics, click the link in the description or scan the QR code on your screen. See you in our next 10-minute brief.